Welcome to your Sprinkle of Hope podcast and your host, Jason. Today, Shane and I had the opportunity to interview Tammie Bennett. She talks a lot about just getting stuck and getting unstuck from that situation where you feel like there's not a lot of hope, or you got a lot of naysayers that are telling you that you can't do it. And she talks about what to do about those kinds of situations. Super, super good conversation. Super glad that we had her on. So listen in, Tammie Bennett.
Welcome to the Sprinkled with Hope podcast.
This is Jason. And this is Shane.
And it's podcast time.
Welcome to your Sprinkle with Hope podcast and your host, Jason. And Shane and I are super excited to welcome with us here Tammie Bennett with us. And so we'll talk a little bit about kind of what she does, and we'll have a great discussion today. So she really likes to help women show up for themselves every day, one tiny step at a time. I see you show up for your family and community all the time, but showing up for yourself, not so much. You want to rediscover your real deal self, which is super cool. We'll talk about that. Uncover your passions and purpose. Start doing the things that will bring you closer to that purpose. Make time for connection and have accountability, and maybe even a cheerleader. So let's kind of talk about that real deal self. What do you mean by that? And let's have a little discussion around that.
Yeah, I'm always really big into that, but 2022, I'm really, really big into that.
Yeah.
My mantra for this year, and I had it engraved on my planner, is be more you, more often, to more people. I think that as we grow up, we're sort of taught to act a certain way, dress a certain way. We get kind of like boxed in by these things that we think that we should be or do or say, and we lose the sense of self with who we even are, like what makes us tick, what makes us happy. And so I'm just kind of on a mission to help people get back to what it is that they love doing.
It's so interesting you say that. In 2002, so a few years ago, I went through a divorce, and some people start a New Year's Eve or New Year's resolution, and I don't like those. So I set a mantra every year that rhymed with the year. So 2002 was be the you, just like what you were saying. But so why do you do these things? I always like to find out the why. So why does Tammie want to help people become themselves and a better version of themselves?
Yeah, I think for me, I want to help the people that were struggling like I did. So I bring it so much back to 2018, 2019. I have an incredible husband, 3 amazing kids, 2 cute as hell dogs, a house, cars, all the things. And yet I was going to bed, beating myself up. You didn't do enough of this. You should have done that. You didn't get to that. And I just felt like crap every single night. And I just struggled in the darkness. I didn't want to wake up my husband. He was having a peaceful sleep. Why mess with him? So I'm just sitting there struggling, feeling not enough,
Right.
and knowing there's more to this life. I know I could be doing more. I'm not feeling my potential. Like I'm not putting myself out there. Nobody's getting to know me because I'm just quiet. And so I figured out ways. I came up with some tools. I got coached. I signed up with a life coach who helped me a lot. And I just have all the tools now to help myself feel safe enough to put myself out there. And then I can help other people do that too. So, every episode of my podcast, every time I post on Instagram, it's stuff to help other people, but it's stuff that I need to hear too. Right. So it's really just all about like, I'm telling you what I need to tell myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love on your site where it talked about passion and purpose. And Shane and I have talked about finding that passion and purpose. So how do you kind of help, or how do you see people finding their passion, or what are some ways that you see them coming up with that? Because maybe they don't know what their passion is.
I actually have a lot of people that I work with that don't know. And I'll say, what do you want to do? And it literally like their face goes blank because they haven't been asked that, right? Like we're not taught to like question what you want to do. You're just sort of like, you go to your work and you pay the bills. So the first step I do kind of is just say, if you didn't have any obligations, if you knew it was going to work out, that you were going to be able to pay your bills and eat, what would you do? And then they're like, oh, wait, let me think about it, And so just to, first of all, ask yourself, because a lot of us just get stuck in the grind. We just forget to even pause for a moment and go, is this what
Right.
do I enjoy this?
Yeah.
And I mean, like there's a lot of people that are like, oh, wait, no, actually, I don't. So first step, take awareness, pause, ask yourself, what is it that I want to be doing? And then second, really listen and trust your body, your soul to come up with that answer. Because a lot of times we'll have that little whisper of, you want to learn to play guitar. And then you're like, no, that's not responsible. That's not going to help pay the bills. And we don't do it. So it's to listen to it and honor it, and then just go try it. Just go try it. Because a lot of people I work with too think that they're just going to find their purpose. It's just going to come out of the sky and they're going to know. And that's not how it works. You have to go do a bunch of things. And then you find out, oh, no, that's not my purpose. I don't enjoy that. But this other thing I do. And you're never going to know until you just try a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's so true. I love people like Tammie, like you, who struggle with life, like all of us, who start to learn and see those things that they can improve. And not only do they change that, but they have to help other people. I love talking to people like you that improve their life, but then feel like they have to reach out to other people.
Yeah.
So you keep talking about your clients. Do you meet with people one-on-one? Do you coach them in those regards? And if so, how can our listeners contact you and if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah. I love that you say that. I feel like I have to share this message. I was just telling somebody the other day, I was telling her all the places that I put myself out there, podcast and Instagram, all these places, because I am compelled, absolutely compelled to go help the people, right? I just want to help people because I know that you don't have to suffer.
Yeah.
So yes, I do work with clients one-on-one. We meet for 6 months on Zoom, just like we're doing. And they bring me what's kind of where they're stuck, what's going on. And then we look at their limiting beliefs and we help them get unstuck. And in 6 months, it's amazing the transformations that people are making. It's even more than my wildest dreams. And that's the best part of my job, is when you see like this light come back to their eyes and their lives. It's amazing. So where to find me is Show Up Society on Instagram and showupsociety.com.
Awesome. So good. I love that we're talking about finding your passion and things like that. And Shane and I, we've tried to find our passion and whatnot. And it was interesting. Once we started podcasting, we found our passion because we're now all of a sudden helping people. And there's a lot of value in things in helping others to get past those limiting beliefs, those things that they say, oh, that there's no way, right? The things that we tell ourselves, those hesitations and whatnot, to get past them. So what would you say about continuing to find that and realize that even after you maybe have found your passion?
Yeah, I think I just want to say something about what you said. It's so, so important about helping other people. I also coached runners for 13 years. And when they're struggling in a workout or having a hard time, one of the best things they can do is cheer on their teammate and say, good job, good job. And something about it breaks you out of your kind of like self-sadness cycle. And when you realize that you can help other people, and it's amazing how it can bring you out of that too. And so I think it's probably just more of that. Like, I'm still learning new things about me. I'm still a human. I still have mindset blocks that come up, and I still have moments where I'm feeling stuck and a little sad, and I figure out how to get out of them. And then I'm like, okay, I figured out how to get out of this. I got to go help them. I got to go tell everybody. So it's just this like never ending cycle of learning more and then sharing it, learning and then sharing.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of value in that alone, right? As you learn things, you then go share it and coach others, and there's you can continue to help yourself by helping others, right?
Yes.
Because you're seeing, okay, they're stuck in this situation, and I was stuck in a similar situation, or I'm dealing with the same thing right now, and so you can help them while helping yourself at the same time. Love that.
Yes.
Love that thought. So you've talked a little bit about your podcast that you currently do. Let's talk about that for just a little bit. What's the name of it, and what platforms are you on? And let's talk about that.
Yeah. My podcast is called The Show Up Society because I help you learn how to show up for yourself and show up as yourself, as your authentic self. And in doing that, in learning how to show up for yourself, you end up helping those around you, either because you're happier now and you can give more, or because you're setting an example of like, oh, wow, he or she is showing up really authentically and they're doing things. It's possible for them. It's possible for me too. So I started it. I'm almost at my 3-year anniversary. I started it just
cool.
because I had so many helpful things and I didn't know how to tell all the people. So I just thought, well, a podcast can get to a lot of people, a lot more than my one-on-one reach can, So, but it's on everywhere you can get podcast. I think it will be there.
Awesome. Yeah. I love podcasting. I think there's a lot of benefit to doing it that way. You can reach people that you wouldn't otherwise normally talk to or meet or anything like that. So thanks for sharing that. So what else are you working at? Do you have a book out, or what other things are you working on in your life right now?
A book is in the future, but not this year.
Okay.
But it's one of those where I'm just like, it's a done deal. I know it's happening. So I'm not in a major rush to get there. But right now I just started a 3-month group coaching program. I'm calling it the Show Up Shake Up. Because we're just shaking off those shoulds, right? You should be doing this. You should be responsible. We had a great moment last night so everybody's picking a goal or a project that they're going to work on for these 3 months. And someone was having trouble picking her goal because she wanted to pick learning how to play the guitar. She's always wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But she thought, why would I spend time and money in this 3-month coaching program to learn something frivolous and fun when my goal could or should be developing my professional career. And so I coached her and she ended up choosing to play the guitar. I'm like, when you're 85, what do you want to be proud of? Are you going to say like, I'm so glad I learned how to play the guitar? Right. Or are you going to say, I'm so glad I organized my office? Because that was her other choice for furthering. She was like, oh, the guitar. So anyway, it's really inspiring to me to see people know that they are allowed to choose joy and fun things. And because my argument is if you are doing something for you, if you are doing something that makes you feel alive, you are going to show up in the world so much clearer and more helpful to people and kinder to people. And you're going to accept people for who they are and what their wishes are. And you're going to get those other things done, like the things that you have to do, maybe you don't love doing, you're going to get them done because you're also feeding yourself and giving yourself that joy. So I think that's where it all stems from is, are you listening to what it is you want to do? And are you putting something fun and joyful in your life? So it's going to be a really fun 3 months of this project to see these people bloom into joy and happiness.
Yeah, I love that, what you're talking about so much. And it could be anything, right? Play the guitar. It could be, Shane and I, we always talk about going on vacation to Bora Bora, and it will happen. We just need to get the timing right. And so some people would say, well, Bora Bora is just out of the question, right? It's too far away. I got to fly there. I've got to save up or whatever. Right. And so that'll just never happen. And you're right. It wouldn't happen with you saying that.
Exactly.
If you saying it's not going to happen, it won't. Exactly. But if I say, I just got to figure out the timing and I got to save up or whatever. And that's the difference between those that take action and those that don't. Right.
Right. And it really is like, I kind of think of the brain as a puppy sometimes, like it wants to go fetch what you're asking for. So if you're saying, oh, I can't do the Bora Bora trip, your brain will literally go look for evidence to prove that that's true. Oh, it's too much money. The timing's not right. It's a hurricane season, whatever, it'll just come up with all these reasons. But if you're telling your brain, I'm going to find my way to get to Bora Bora, it's going to go fetch evidence that you can. It's going to show you deals on, you're going to come across a website that gives you travel deals, or it's going to open up something and you're going to see how you can open up your schedule to match with Shane's. Like it all will work out if you're telling yourself that it will. Oh,
so good. I love that visual. I think visuals are super cool. And just to see like, yeah, you're going to throw the ball out there. The puppy's going to go grab it and bring it back. And so what are those thoughts and things that you're putting in your head? What are you telling yourself what that outcome is going to be? Is it that it's not possible, or is it, yeah, it's possible, I just got to figure a way to do it? Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And our brains are literally wired to go negative, to look for what could go wrong because it keeps us safe, right? So
Right.
back in like primal days, it would look for all the dangers and keep us safe. But we don't have those same dangers anymore.
Right.
So what I tell my clients is like, yes, your brain is going to go to how could this go wrong? This might be a waste of time or money or energy. Fine. That's like I'll let you think of all those worst case outcomes, but spend equal airtime on thinking like, how could this be the best thing ever? How could this work out? How can we make this happen? Because your brain literally isn't wired to think of those possibilities. You have to sort of like train it to think, okay, but how could I make this Bora Bora trip happen? Oh,
Yeah.
I could do this. I could work extra. I could take days off, whatever. And so it will start coming up with those. So you just have to redirect your brain because it's automatically going to go to like the what if negative slant.
Oh, absolutely, it will. And on that kind of same note, I'd like to just ask you what your take on fear while you're dealing with some of these things, because some of it could be like a literal fear thing, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, if I learn to play the guitar, I'm probably going to sound like an idiot or something like that,
Exactly.
And so the fear of you sounding or looking a certain way could potentially hold you back from doing that thing that you're wanting to accomplish.
Absolutely. So I have two kind of things I love to talk about with fear is one, I think it's really helpful to get a pen and paper and write down everything that you're scared of. Because first of
Mm,
all, it makes it come when it's in the light, it's less scary, right? So like if you're with a kid and they think there's a monster under the bed, you shine a light, you're like, oh, actually there's no monster.
right.
Kind of same thing. You get the fears out and you're like, oh, actually, these aren't as scary as I thought. And then one by one, you go through each fear and you think, how will I cope with that? So if we're talking about the guitar and somebody saying you don't play well, how will you cope with that if they say that to you? If that even happens, chances are it's not going to happen. But if it does,
Right.
there's some trolls out there. If
Sure.
it does, how will you cope with it? How will you soothe yourself and how will you be okay? So that's one thing. The other thing, when I talk with people about being scared of what other people in the world are saying, is I say there are 7 billion, more than that, people on this earth. There are going to be some who don't like you or what you do or what you look like or what you sound like. Fact. So
Right.
you can just stop worrying about if that happens, it's going to happen. Somebody out there isn't going to like what you do. Okay,
Yep.
cool. Right. And I love, I think Dita Von Teese said this, you can be the world's juiciest, ripest peach, and there will be someone in the world who doesn't like peaches. Right. So
Hmm.
you can be
Yep.
the best guitar player in the world, like Santana or somebody, and there's still going to be somebody who doesn't like what you do.
Yep.
And so if you let it hold you back, then you're not doing the things that you could be loving doing. So if you just kind of accept, yep, I'm going to do this. And there's going to be some people who talk negatively about it. Cool. That's a shame that they don't get me. It's a shame they don't get to experience the joy that I'm experiencing.
Oh, so good. I love that idea and concept of we talk a lot about fear because I think it really holds us back from doing those actions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that difference. And we talk about taking action, every day you wake up, you take an action. What is the action that you're doing? Whether it's going to work, you're doing the action, you're making a decision.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the difference is actually deciding that you want to do that thing and going for it.
Right. And I will say there are some times when it just feels so scary that it almost makes you freeze, like a freeze
Yep.
response. And so if that's the case, sometimes you can't easily just go do it. You have to calm
Sure.
yourself and say, it's going to be okay. Right. Like I'm going to get up and go to work. I might have that terrible meeting with the boss that I'm scared of, but either way, I'm going to be okay. Even if he fires me, I can ask my parents to help or let me live with them until I get a new job. You know what I mean? Just finding
Right.
all the possibilities. And to remember, you have survived and overcome every single hard thing in your life up till now. And you're
Yep.
probably going to survive this next one too, right?
Yep.
You're going to be able to figure your way out of it, just like you have figured your way through all the tons of problems that you've had. Because everybody that's listening to this has had mega problems in their life or struggles,
For
and they've
sure.
overcome them.
Yep.
So you can do this next one too. So just remind yourself, I've overcome things in the past. I got this. I'm going to figure this out.
So good. I love this conversation. I love talking about this stuff because I think that it reminds me, right? It's like the thing we were talking about, helping each other when we learn a new thing. And every time I talk about this, I just get so much more passionate
Mm-hmm.
about just driving people to do the thing that they don't want to or think that they can. You can
Mm-hmm.
do it. You're the
Yes,
only one telling yourself that you can't. Who
exactly.
Get rid of all the naysayers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
they're the ones that are going to bring you down anyway. And so like you said, they're going to say, well, even if you're the best guitar player in the world, somebody's still going to be out there saying, I don't like your guitar. That guitar color is terrible, or they're going to find something.
Yeah. And then I just say, oh, that's so sad for them. They don't get the joy.
Yeah.
And I do.
Yep. I get to experience the joy.
Yeah.
So good. So near the end of our podcast, Shane and I, we like to do a thing called the double down dose. And it's 2 final questions we ask all of our guests.
Okay.
And the first one is, what is your definition of hope?
Ooh, that's good. My definition of hope is belief in myself that I can do something, like belief that I'm going to make this work. So to me, I mean, it may sound selfish, but it all starts with me, and,
Right.
Yours starts with you, and,
Right.
And just to know that we are going to be able to handle this, whatever comes our way.
That's so good. We love asking these 2 questions because I think they kind of get to the meat of our podcast and what we're all about. Hope is one of those.
Yes.
So the second part of the double down dose is, what is your definition of love?
Oh, I think it is an unconditional support and belief in yourself and the people around you. So I think the word unconditional is a huge, huge part of it. And I think especially directed towards ourselves. I think a lot of us think that we're not allowed to love and support ourselves when we mess up and make a mistake. And I think that's the biggest mistake of all, right? I think that one of our biggest reasons here on this planet that we exist, we might be getting a little woo here, Jason, but we're going for it.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is we have all these things that we're told not to like about ourselves. And yet, if we can still love ourselves and love the people, because I'll start with us. If we can love ourselves, even when we make a mistake, or even if we gain weight, or even if we don't make enough money, whatever those things that society tells us that we're not good enough at, if we can love ourselves no matter what, that's the biggest gift that we can give to the world. Because if you are loving yourself unconditionally, fully, you can love the people around you so much easier because you're not tearing yourself apart. And if you can accept your own flaws, and I'm putting that in air quotes,
Right.
if you can accept your own flaws, you can accept theirs too. And then you just get along so much better and accept people and love people all around you. And then it spreads. It's like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to put that word unconditional in there for me.
So good. Love this conversation, Tammie. Thank you so much for joining us today, and just your insights and just what you're standing for, and the things that you're moving forward with. Just so appreciate you and the work you're doing, and continue to share that hope and love with all those that are in your community. And so thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you guys for doing what you do. It's so good to keep putting out these messages.
Yes, thank you.